We're live. Hello, besties and bosses. How are you doing? I'm happy to be here. As I'm sure many of you know, it has been a week and a half for all of us. I've been riding the emotional roller coaster, as I think many of us have been. But I will say my work, my clients, and getting to hang with you here and share things has definitely been a very, very bright light. I am grateful for a business I love and clients I love more than ever. So very, very grateful for that. Okay, I can see us in the group, so I can see your comments as we're going into this. This actually feels like a really important conversation that maybe we've had at some point, but I don't think we've had in a while. I feel like it's something I just think is so almost obvious and just something we're all thinking about. But it's also been something I have had quite a few conversations with clients recently, a couple of really big conversations with clients recently. And as I was looking and thinking about some of my clients who've had really big results, whether that's scaling, to consistent 20K months to multi-six-figure years, or scaling to the $1 million mark, or selling their businesses. I've had one client successfully sell their company for, I actually don't know if I'm allowed to say how much it was for a very, 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 very healthy number. I'm just going to support her for quite some time. I have another client who's looking at selling their business, and what we're going to talk about here has supported all of those results. I also look at people who have come to me who've had a really hard time being profitable or sustaining their business or feeling like they're burning out. And what we're going to talk about today has been a big component for them and what they've unwound. Before we dive in, let me, because I sometimes forget to share these things or I wait until like the very, very end. I have a new masterclass coming up in February. I always love my masterclasses, but this one feels extra alive. Is that the word the kids are saying? Extra alive for me, because I am on such a tear and wanting to be a voice in our space about scaling smarter, not harder, and really looking at how do we not just chase top line revenue, but how do we look at paying ourselves well and being profitable enough. That's why I gave away the profit planning guide in the Pay For You workshop, Pay Yourself More workshop last week. If you missed that, just go back to last week's live stream. It's in the comments. If you're listening to this in the vault, that will be in the comment section for you. I gave you that book and masterclass, but I actually want to take you behind the scenes and really show you how I think about scaling and walk you through the blueprint that has helped me successfully scale a one-on-one practice, which basically the whole internet told me wasn't possible until I started working with my coach, and has helped countless clients of mine scale to multi-six, seven figures, but also do so in a way where it's sustainable and where they don't want to burn their business down and where they're paying themselves really well. So I will drop the link for that. That masterclass is coming in February. It's called the Simplified Scaling Blueprint. Again, I'm going to give you that blueprint. I'm going to walk you through 5, I say secrets just because I think we don't talk about it a lot, but obviously there's no secrets of business, but I'm going to walk you through 5 core secrets and components that go into scaling in a way that sets you up to be and prioritize profit and pay yourself more. I'm going to go through a lot. I'm going to go through some CEO level mindsets that all of my clients really work on who are scaling to multi-six and 7 figures. I'm going to walk through some core strategy pieces and strategy shifts so that if you feel like you're hitting a revenue ceiling, or if you feel like you're kind of on that roller coaster of like high month, low month, that these are some strategic shifts you want to make. And then I am going to share, and this has actually changed. I ran a different version of this masterclass last year. This isn't updated. I think it's going to be quite different because I have some new thoughts and perspectives on this. But I'm sure the number one thing I am supporting clients with who are scaling at multi-six and 7 figures, or who are already at multi-six and 7 figures, who are at the 250K, 500K, 700K, and $1 million mark. This is, I'd say, the bulk of the coaching we're doing, and it has shifted from what honestly I think a lot of our work was a couple of years ago. So I'm going to dive into all of that. It's going to be juicy. I'm taking you behind the scenes. I'm excited for it. Let me actually grab the link here. I'll put a proper blurb in the comments. I will put this in the comments so you can sign up for free. I would love to have you. We always give a, let's see if this is working, just to bribe you a little bit, because I want you to come because I think this is important. This will not be hosted on Facebook. This will be in a private Zoom room so that I can give feedback, ask questions. So it's a little bit more intimate. So if you're used to my lives or my masterclasses being in here, please make sure you sign up so that you have access to that Zoom room. You'll also get a bonus playbook to help personalize this blueprint to your business. I go pretty in depth with those. I feel like that is like having me as a coach. If I don't have spots available, like that's a great way to have me coaching you through some of this in that playbook. Obviously, you won't get my feedback from it, but I think it's really valuable. And then we will do a giveaway. One person who signs up will win a VIP strategic planning session with me. I've been fully booked for 6 years. I'm a multi-six figure business coach. I pay myself multi-six figures. Again, I've helped clients scale to six, multi-six, and seven figures for the past 9+ years in my business. My clients are making millions of dollars before I was making money in my business. I've been doing this for a long time, so it's a great chance to win a session with me. All right, please sign up, join me. Now let's talk about the title didn't pop up here properly, but that's okay. The title of this is actually The Secret to Making More Money and Scaling Sustainably. For some reason, the like extra blur popped up there. Again, I don't know that this is such a secret. I think this is something most of us intuitively know, but I think the online space, and unintentionally, look, there are some problematic people in our space, but I actually don't think most people are problematic, and I don't think most people are intending to create this dynamic. But I think in our space, what causes a lot of us to just chase top line revenue, and what causes a lot of business owners to feel stuck, have a really hard time scaling, not to be profitable, actually making money but wanting to burn it down, is what we're going to talk about here. So just to kind of give some preface here, I put this in the email if you're on my list, but this is not having a one-on-one business model, by the way. I feel like I just need to preface with that. I have an all one-on-one business model that I've scaled and made 1.6 million in the past 6 years from. I pay myself multi-six figure years. We are highly profitable. I'm very proud of that. And most of my clients, well, I'd say half. A lot of my clients actually do want one-on-one models, but I'd say at least half of my clients don't have a one-on-one model. Some of them aren't even coaches. Many of them are scaling in other ways, whether that's groups, masterminds, courses, speaking. There's just different paths there. I have a couple clients with memberships. So prefacing that here to say none of this conversation is to say one-on-one is the path to scale and make more money. In fact, quite honestly, I have been told more times than I can count that you can't scale with one-on-one and that you have to scale with groups and masterminds. And the reason for that isn't because people are jerks, but it's just because in many ways scaling a one-on-one business is, I know one other person who's done it, quite honestly, more than me, which is my coach. I just don't know. I just don't think it is the easiest way. I definitely think there's other, in terms of scaling top line revenue. I think in terms of making more and more money, other models, honestly, frankly, are easier. However, I am really grateful for a trade me that has caused problems for me in my past, but it's also been one of my biggest strengths. I think I talk about this with clients quite a bit. Whatever our superpowers are, there's a shadow and a light side to them. One of my superpowers is I am a rebel, and I have just always been someone who believes you can do anything from your mind to, and you get to do things your way, and I kind of don't like people telling me what I can and can't do. It has served me so well. It's what took me to LA to act for 10 years. It's what, had me stand up to and lead a set when I was acting because one of the directors was really problematic to me and others, and I wasn't, it's like, maybe I'll get blackballed, but I'm just going to walk off this set mid-job because they were just being, we don't have to have that conversation here, but problematic. It's what helped me pick up and start over and move in New York City with no job. It's what helped me start my business, right? It's what's helped me do a lot of things. It's what's helped me stick with one-on-one. So there's just also a lot of, I'd say, shadow sides to being a rebel as well, because sometimes I can be a little stubborn and, sometimes I don't know where to just let things be the way they are. However, what has been great about that is it's helped me to stay in the game long enough to create the results I have in my business. And it's also helped me because I've stayed in one-on-one. Again, this doesn't mean you need to have a one-on-one model, but because of that, I am in the weeds with my clients all day, every day. I have been for, I've been coaching for 10 and a half, 11 years, I lose track, but March 1st will be 9 years in business. So for 9 years, I've been every day one-on-one behind the scenes of successful businesses, seeing what works, what doesn't work. My first year in business, one of my clients scaled from 6 figures to $1 million. And so I see what goes into that and what hasn't really intimately and what's been different. And so it's not because it is because I'm a one-on-one coach, but it's not because one-on-one is the only way to make more money. Hopefully that made sense there. I kind of threw this between being a rebel and seeing that you can't do things your way, which is part of where we're going to go here. But also because I've been in one-on-one, I've just been able to see the patterns and trends with clients. And what I have just seen, and I'm having a conversation with one of my multi-six figure clients right now. She's highly successful. She's made a lot of money. She's doing really great. This is literally the conversation we're having with her in her business. When I look at my first client who scaled, actually, all of my clients who've scaled to $1 million, this is a conversation we've had. And I know I'm really teasing this out, but I think it's just important to preface because I realize how otherwise when I say this, you're going to be like, oh, duh, Kim. And I really want to break down some personal examples, some client examples, and just some of the strategic and mindset components around that. But the biggest thing I have seen be a contributor, the secret to making money and scaling sustainably is picking a business, picking a model, picking offers, picking a strategy that is what you actually want to show up for versus picking a business, picking a model, picking offers, picking a strategy just because you think it's going to be the easiest way or the right way to make more money or what you're supposed to do. Again, I know this is almost overly simple and easy to eye roll, but I think it's actually quite nuanced, and I think there's a lot that goes into this, so I'm going to break this down a little bit. The reason I think this is nuanced is, first and foremost, I think there is some nuance in terms of to grow a business and to make money, we also have to be willing to do things sometimes that we don't want to do in the moment, but that is very different than not wanting to have your business or do what your business entails. Let me think of a good example there. So I think having a one-on-one model, for example, and people telling me the only way I can make more money is to have courses, for example, or group programs. But me inherently knowing that one-on-one is the best way I can show up and help clients to get results. And the best way it's the reason my clients get the results they do is because I'm in there with them, supporting them every day, and because I want to be in there with them supporting every day, right? Like that combination really helps them to get big results. So it's the difference between that versus maybe on a random Tuesday, I don't want to show up for a call because I have a bestie in town and I want to go hang out with them and I need to reschedule a call, right? So big picture, this is what I want, this is what feels good, this is what I love. Maybe on a given day, right? Or like maybe on a given day, I'm having a hard client, I have to say some really hard things to a client that no one wants to have to do that on a given day, but that's part of the job. I think that's a big difference where we get things confused. We take those little micro elements and trade-offs that come with any business model and globalize them to the whole business model. So hopefully this is all making sense. So I think understanding that difference and seeing that is a big difference versus I am choosing something either because I think it's because I am in a moment of hard in the business model I actually want. And I'm in a moment of hard, or I'm having to give hard feedback, or I'm having a tough thing with a client, or I'm in a launch and the launch feels sticky, and I'm having that shiny object moment, or what's his name? Alex Ramosi calls it the woman in the red dress, right? I just think that this other thing is going to be easier because all I can see are the shiny sides of it and not the trade-offs and challenges that come with it, right? So it's understanding that difference, right? And seeing that shiny object does not mean that you actually want that more. That is just avoidance, right? That's just trying to avoid, you're going to have the same shit follow you and basically there's just going to be a trade-off or a challenge in every business model. But let me know if this is making sense. I'm hoping this nuance makes sense. And there was one other piece here I wanted to say. Not being in the place where, I think this is probably the bigger place. Well, I think both of these are really common, and probably the biggest place entrepreneurs sabotage their business and really sabotage their earnings and their ability to scale. It is confusing, that part of a hard moment or a trade-off or a challenge that will be in any business model, in any strategy, in any offer. You're going to have that. That's part of running a business. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it will be. Confusing that and saying, oh, this means this is misaligned for me. I'm in the wrong business. I have the wrong model. I have the wrong offer. When really it's just, no, you're in a hard moment. You've gotten as far as you can with what's easy, and now you're in a learning curve, or now you're in a hard moment, or now you're in a challenge. And instead of overcoming that, it just feels easier to pick something different. And this is how I think so many business owners stay stuck and hit revenue ceilings, or really cut into their profitability, because you can, I've definitely talked about this before, you can play that game forever in business where you go to a certain level of growth, and as soon as it gets hard or as soon as you have a challenge, you decide that means it's out of alignment and you go and pick another offer, you go and pick another model. But every time you start over, that's time, that's energy, that is money, that is, it takes quite a bit to create a new offer, to market that, to sell that, to create a new audience, right? All of those pieces. And you'll do that and it'll be easy and it'll get you to a certain level, and then that'll have a challenge or get hard, right? And you'll do that all over again. And that's how people are like, I don't understand. I've been in business for so long. How come I can't get past this revenue ceiling? Or how come I keep, like, I'm making great money, but I never seem to have anything left over to show for it? This is one of the reasons for that. This will keep you chasing your tail, and it's really unsustainable, because at a certain point that will also just get exhausting. And I think that's why a lot of people end up hating business. I know some people who are great at what they do, but who have like kind of gotten disillusioned with business and the online space, and this is one of the reasons for it. So I think that's one thing there, just in terms of, this is why understanding that difference is so important. And yes, choosing the business you want, doing things on your term, right? Being that rebel, picking a business model and offer and strategies that you really want to show up for make all the difference. But understanding that nuance is so important. And then the other piece here, and just let me know if you have any questions around this, that I think, and look, I've had to work through this every year in my business. I've also tested almost every model in my business and offer, so that I could also be really clear on what is the right model for me, what is the best way for me to get results for myself and for my clients, what is the thing I want to show up for. So I do want to maybe just give that little nuance, clarity there, that I don't always know that we know what is in alignment for us, what is the thing that we love to show up for, what is the business we love, until sometimes we try some other things and can have that comparison. So I don't want anyone to hear this and to hear that shiny object or the woman in the red dress piece to mean that you can't go and try and test something. I mean, that's the beauty of being a business owner. We're always testing things. And I know for myself, even with being all in on one-on-one, I always give myself permission to change my mind or to learn something new on a business, being in business for a long time. So I can imagine something could change at a certain point. I mean, I also can't imagine it. But I would say the other piece is, again, understanding the difference between then testing something or wanting to see if this is something you want to do or that you love or that's in alignment, versus choosing something out of ego. And ego is really, really slippery. And look, I have absolutely fallen into this. So this isn't to say I'm better than anyone. I think I've just gotten really good at catching this, and I just also get coached by one of the best, and this is the kind of coaching I give to my clients to be able to catch this. What I mean by that is there's a really big difference between, I want to test out this offer to see if it's something I could just pour myself into and be all in and be behind for the next however long, versus I want to make more money, and someone told me this is the easiest way to make money, or someone told me this, if I create this thing, that's the way I can scale. I know this almost doesn't sound logical, but I cannot stress enough how much that is the path to misery in business, but honestly to not having sustainability, to not making money, and to when it's an ego-driven decision. I'm going to give some client examples and some personal examples here, just so that I can land the plane on this concept. But what I would invite you to think about, if you're looking, whether it's looking to make more money in your business or you're at a place where you're ready to scale to double or triple your revenue, I would really invite you to check in with some of these questions, and to check in with, what actually lights you up? What is the work that you most want to do, that you believe you could be the best in the world at, that you also believe people will pay for, but that you also believe is the way that you can best help someone get the result they're paying for, right? It's sort of that intersection there that we get really clear on our model and our offer, that's going to help us make the most money, and that's also going to help us scale sustainably in the best way. Again, this just feels important to say, like, I honestly don't think most people should scale a one-on-one business model. I think most people would be Ms. if they had my business. It just happens to be what I love so much. And I think because of that, I'm able to show up in a different way for clients, which really facilitates their results and helps them to get, I think that's why my clients honestly we get results that don't make sense. I think part of that is because I love it so much. I'm in there in the weeds with them, right? I want to be in that with them, supporting them, helping them get those best results. I know it's the best way I can support them to get best results. I mean, I'm obviously biased and think it's the best way for anybody to get support, but not necessarily the best model for everybody to scale. I think those are two different things. But because of that, just from a practical standpoint, think of how much easier that makes it for me to make money, for me to sell, and for me to have a lot of sustainability in my business, because I actually genuinely want to do what I'm doing and show up for it. I'm not just selling this because, oh gosh, I need to make some money to make payroll next month, or because I want to take a trip, or because like it's because I actually want to show up for it. It's so much easier to show up and sell. If we just think, if for those of you, I'm going to share the strategy side of this, but just on the like energetic woo side of things, what is it, Carolyn Elliott, who says, I use her quote all the time, we don't get what we say we want, we get what we actually want. And I actually like something, I want to show up for it, I actually want it. Versus if I just want the money, I don't actually want it, I just want the money, right? But if I was like Ms. on, I don't know where I'm getting the term Ms. from. Is that like a term the kids are using right now? I just said it twice in 3 minutes. Funny. Anyway, if I was miserable on coaching calls and one-on-one, but I just thought because I'd heard someone else, or because that's what my coach does, or whatever the thing is, that that's the way to make the most money, so that's what I was selling. But subconsciously or even consciously, I knew I didn't really want to show up. I'm hoping I just attract clients who like don't actually use their sessions. I'm sort of like, oh, this is going to eat up all my free time, or it's going to be impossible because I've got kids at home, and like this doesn't fulfill my lifestyle, or I'm just going to be burnt out, fill in the blank, or I don't want pain in the ass clients, whatever the thing is there. I can say I want this all day long because I want the money. Subconsciously, I am going to push away that money and that sale all day, every day. One of my clients I'm coaching through this, she has had a successful launch. She has a very, again, multi-six-figure business. One of the things we were talking about, she was having some trouble in this upcoming launch. And the thing that like I ended up asking her and that we were having a conversation around was, and I wouldn't just ask this to a client. I know her business, I know context. We've had multiple conversations, so I knew a lot of things going on. And I want to be mindful, so this is very confidential, so that I'm being a little obtuse on purpose here to protect that confidentiality, because it's a really important value to me with clients. But one of the things we kind of came to was that, oh, she like didn't want this business. She didn't like, she wanted the money from it, but like, and she wasn't like mad at it. It wasn't like it was making her miserable, but like it's really just not what she wanted to show up for or wanted to have her long term. And so she was doing all of the right actions, but it was feeling so hard. And it wasn't even that she wasn't going to get results. It was just hard for her to see even like a launch through to the end and to do the actions that quite honestly are what make the difference, like the difference makers in a launch to get really big results in a launch. And, you know, this was just the conversation we had to have. And it was just, I think, such a great thing for her to see. And also just really permission giving for her to see, oh, like if I'm doing this thing just because I think I'm supposed to, and I think this is the way I'm supposed to scale, like it's actually, like that can only take me so far. That can only take me through however many rounds of a program. Like if I want something that's going to continue to make me money and be really sustainable and be profitable, right, for years and years and years to come, just chasing the thing I think I'm supposed to make money is actually the hardest path to making money, because it's the hardest thing to keep showing up for. If I go back to myself with the example I was saying with my one-on-one clients, think of how much easier it is. I mean, I've been showing up and I have one offer, y'all. Again, I've tested other things, right? I tested a mastermind. I've built some done-for-you courses. I had a membership my first year in business. Like I've tested different things, but at the end of the day, I've been selling one one-on-one offer for 9 years. The reason I can keep selling that, the reason it's so easy to sell, the reason it's so easy to stay fully booked. I've been fully booked with over 20 clients for the past 6 years, whatever it is at this point. Part of the reason for that is because I actually like it enough and love it enough that I want to keep showing up and selling it. But here's where the sustainability piece comes in. Because I actually like it and want to show up and sell it, and like that makes it really easy to sell, right? I could just like talk about this all day, every day. I'm also building brand awareness, right? I'm also teaching my audience who I am, right? Most of my audience knows this is what I sell, this is what I offer. It's not like every time I'm unhappy with my business or I just want to make money and I need to create a new offer. Every time we do that, just so we can understand why creating new offers all the time really not only cuts into profitability, but really it's just hard to make money. Every time we create a new offer, we have to teach our audience something new about us and about that offer, that messaging, about why we're the best person to create that offer, about the provenness or not of that offer, right? Which is why most people who are having 6-figure plus launches, it's usually not their first launch. Not that that can't happen. Like there are unicorns out there, and there are also people with really big brands where they've built enough trust for that. But the people who are sustainably creating those sorts of results, it's usually because they've been selling the same offer over and over again. They've nailed the delivery, they've nailed the marketing, but they've also taught their audience this is what they do, this is what they're great at. They've got testimonials, right? There's all of these pieces that get wrapped up into that, which is why it's so easy to sell, which is why it's so easy to make money from, which is why it's so easy to have it be profitable, because it takes less and less effort every single time you sell that, right? It takes way less effort, team time, marketing money, ad spend, any of that for me to fill a client spot today than it did at the start of my business for all of these reasons. So not only because I'm like excited to show up for it because I actually want to do it, and I think people energetically could feel that, right? And I'm not energetically pushing people away, but strategically, it becomes so much easier to make money and so much easier to sustain those results. The other thing that happens, and I think this is something, I think a few people are talking about this in the online space, but I have probably heard 3 people talk about it. I think most people aren't talking about this, is I think we just forget. I think we get so short-sighted in our businesses. I think our online space is just so wrapped up in like, how do you make 10K next month? How do you make 6 figures next month? And not how do you still make 10K or 6-figure months a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. And those are 2 very different things and 2 very different strategies: sustainability and having results over the long term, right? One of the biggest things I'm proud of is I haven't just made a couple of results, like had a pop month, or like, yay, we had one big month, or like I was fully booked 1 month. I have sustained these results for over 6 years. I've been making consistent 10K to 40K cash months for 6 years. I don't even know how many months that is at this point, 67, 68, I don't know. I did the math on that once and I've now lost track. For the last 3-4 years, it's been 25K to 40K month every single month. The reason for that is what we're talking about here. I mean, in some ways it's boring, but boring in that it's just predictable and replicable, but it's just something we don't talk a lot about. And one of the other reasons for that is because the more I sell the same offer, the more you sell the same offer, the more someone has the same program, and isn't just jumping around from offer to offer, and the woman in the red dress, or like, this is the way I'm supposed to make money, or like, this didn't work enough, so like, let me try something else and see if that works better, as opposed to what's in alignment, what do I really want to get into mastery around and like really hone the delivery on. I've just gotten better and better at what I do. I mean, like, when I say I'm an excellent one-on-one coach, I'm not like trying to be like, oh my gosh, I'm like so amazing. It's just, it would be insane if I wasn't at this point, because I have been coaching for 10 or 11 years. I've been in business getting paid for coaching for 9 years now, making this level of money. Like, if I wasn't good at what I did, like something wouldn't add up there. I have been putting in the reps, right? Like, anything we do over and over again, and especially when we're doing something over and over again with that deliberate feedback loop, where I study my coaching, I'm working with my own coach, I'm studying my business, I'm studying what's working, what's not working with clients, as opposed to just doing the reps mindlessly. I think those are, when we look at what creates mastery, it's deliberate practice. You all know the term deliberate practice, as opposed to just doing things over and over again. It's sort of, not to go down a rabbit hole, but it's sort of the difference between, like, I could watch cooking shows for 10 years and cook dinner for 10 years, but that wouldn't make me a chef. I could go to school, culinary school, and intentionally, through deliberate practice, learn how to cook and get that immediate feedback, right? Have a goal in mind, show up for it, put in the reps, and then get that immediate feedback to grow and learn through that. That's what creates mastery. And that's the big, like, we can put in the same amount of time for something but get very different levels of mastery. Anyway, I'm digressing a little bit, going down a little bit of a rabbit hole, but point being is, the reason I have such mastery, again, it's not because I'm like better than other people. I am just better at this skill set because I have been deliberately practicing it for 9 years. And I have at this point been on, I don't even know how many coaching calls, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands probably, if we do the math of, this is what I do Monday through Friday, full time. I have 20 plus clients. But with that, because of that, right, that means my offer just gets better and better. My coaching gets better and better, right? Clients' results get better and better. Their experience, like, even like what we provide for clients in terms of resources and tools, I don't think that's necessary for a one-on-one coach, but I give my clients quite a bit there in terms of like the feedback I give them between sessions, in terms of the support in Basecamp, in terms of their content edits, or I mean, even things like as basic as, I myself am growing and evolving as a business owner. I've now mastered ads and I'm crushing it in terms of like understanding that and cost per leads and my copy skills and having a great knowing how to get great landing page conversions or email open rates, right? The more I master that myself, the more I can support clients between session and on session, so the better results they can get, right? The more I can just make that offer, improve that offer. And this is why when we pick something we actually like and love and that's in alignment, it makes us more money and it's more sustainable. Because the truth is, sustainability in business it's a long game, right? It's not looking at how do I make a quick buck next month. It's how do I like something long enough? How do I love something enough that I want to stay in it and be in that deliberate practice to really hone the offer, to really hone my deliverability, to really improve the offer, to keep adding to it, to keep making it better. When I'm just using Marie Forleo as an example because I think most people have heard of her and know her. When we look at someone like Marie Forleo, she's been in business for, I don't know, 20 years, 30 years. If you look at like an offer like B School, part of the reason that makes her so much money, and I'm sure is widely profitable, is all the reasons we're talking here. Notice that B is, she's created like what, one, maybe two more offers in the last, I've been in business, I've been in the online space from coach training for 11 years. So that's when I first learned about Marie Forleo. She's at 3 offers in 11 years and she keeps selling them. And she has courses. Notice it's not like she has like a new offer every month or a new offer even every year. But with that, right, I just know because I've seen and studied some of her stuff, right? She's really doing the market research. She's really honing that. She clearly loves them enough so she can keep talking about them over and over again. Her audience gets to know her. And she's getting better at the deliverability and figuring out, what needs to go in and out of the program so that clients or customers or students actually get results. Same with me and my one-on-one. So what that does is not only does it make it easier to sell and to make money, but you start to have, sustainability in terms of it's easier for you because you actually like it and you get to that level. Like things are so much easier for me now than they were 9 years ago because I've just done them more. But you also start to, when you deliver a better offer, and people have better results, think of what that does for you in your business. You get better testimonials, you get better word of mouth marketers, you get people who want to repeat, be your client again and hire you again. One of the reasons my business is so sustainable, when I look at some of my clients who have scaled very, to let's say 500 to $1 million, part of the secret of their success is not that they have a gazillion offers, it's that they have created retention with people. It costs time, energy, and money every time you have to create a new client. Retention is a big part of how you increase your profit margin and decrease your workload and create a lot of sustainability. It's really hard to retain clients and it's really hard to have renewal and repeat clients. And look, not every business model is going to allow for that, but particularly with one-on-one group programs, masterminds, any of you who are creating some sort of service like that, you're set up to have an opportunity for, you want the retention, but for those renewing clients, that makes business so much easier if you're not having to chase new sales and new clients every single month. Think of how sustainable that is. But think about how much easier that is to make money as well. I'm both lucky and I guess I made my own luck. A lot of times when I have a spot open, someone will email me before I even get to talk about it. That either knows about me from my content or they'll book a consultation or I've talked with them in the past and they'll be ready to hire me. That's because of what we're talking about here. So, but all of that starts with, it's not just like picking an offer, but I think what happens so often in our space is we get so short-sighted on I need to make money now or I want to make money now or we're chasing that top line revenue. So we just get into either the woman in the red dress mindset, the shiny object mindset of like, I'm in that hard phase, let me just jump to something else, or I'm just looking at from ego at like, how can I make 6-figure months and I can't see with what I'm currently doing. This is the way I'm supposed to do it. This is a better offer. This is the way someone else has done it. And we're just so quick to, I think, create offers and to build businesses that way without really understanding that at the end of the day, what's going to make you money more than 1 month long term and in a way that lets you take home more is really paying attention to what's in alignment. What do you actually like and believe in? What do you actually want to show up for? It sounds so cheesy, but what do you love to do? And that's going to be different for everyone. That's also, again, I said this earlier, but it's like, what do you love to do that also solves a problem for your clients that you believe is the best way you can help a client get results? That's also something people would pay money for, right? We kind of need that intersection. And again, easier said than done. Sometimes this doesn't mean you don't test things. This doesn't mean you don't go down the path of, I think in many ways we have to test things. This doesn't mean you only have to have one offer ever. A lot of people have more than one offers. But I do think it's a bit of just a reminder. I'm gonna, what are we on time? I'll give a couple examples. I'll give an example from my business and then I shared one client example already, but I have one other client example that comes to mind. from my business, I think I shared this already, but I'll just share it briefly. So last year, I got a real, my hair is doing funny things. It's like 50 degrees here in New York City right now, and it's winter, so my hair is like puffing up, but that's also why I'm like pretending it's spring and wearing a t-shirt. Last year, I had a really great idea for a course offer. I still think it's a great idea. Who knows? I might still create it at some point. And I built out the first module, and in that process, a couple of things I started noticing. One, I noticed that, oh, interesting. Like, if I want to make this work, I'm gonna have to give up some one-on-one clients, because a course model, yes, even if it's like passive income, to do it right and to do it in a way where I'm gonna feel good asking people for a high ticket amount of money and for it to get the results, for it to give people the result or to solve the problem I want to, it's going to take some time for me to create this thing, and then it's going to take some time for me to market this thing, and it's going to take at least a couple client spots away for me to do this in the right way, which is totally fine. I think I've talked about this on other live streams. Sometimes when we want to scale and we want to create something new, we have to take a temporary pay cut, so that we have the time and space to build that out or to market that and sell that. And so that would totally be fine. But when I realized that, it was actually very interesting for me, because I had to really sit and chew with that. And I was like, oh, this is really fascinating. I only want this if I can keep my business as the way I have it. Like, in addition to, right now, I just do not want to give up client time, and not even for the money. Like, I just didn't want fewer clients. Like, I'm just really enjoying my business right now. And it was just a very interesting thing to sit with. And what I also noticed was, oh, interesting. If I really step back, again, I believe in the offer. Who knows? Maybe I'll make it at some point. But if I got really honest with myself, I'm like, oh, that's because I believe in this offer. But at the end of the day, I just want this so that I can have people go through this funnel and eventually become one-on-one clients. Like, it's all just in service of this offer I already have. Kind of a long way to get there. And then if I was really, really honest, I was like, oh, there's a part of me that still thinks I can't scale my business past the level I have as one-on-one. And like, this is the thing, like, that I need to have something else to like prove to everybody on the internet that, I don't know, I can launch and like have a flashy launch and like make more money so I can brag about that on the internet. I mean, this was not conscious, and I don't know that I would ever think of it exactly that way. But if I like unpacked it a little bit, like, I just think this is really interesting. Like, that's where this is coming from. And so I recorded the whole first module. I think it's good material. I think I could finish it. I think I could sell it. I think I could be successful with it. But as soon as I caught that, I was like, oh, well, either I'm going to get burnt out doing this. I'm going to sabotage my current business and what I actually love to do. I'm going to create something just to basically do what I'm already doing, which makes no sense. I'm very aware of the course model too, like what the ads game is on that. So it's not nearly as profitable as my current business. But I also know if that's at that stage where I'm only that far into it, where my heart is at with it, at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, this is something I like and I would like to make some more money. And it's like cool for me as a business owner to play with, but it's not really the thing I want to get behind and show up for the next 5 years. And that was all I needed to know to be like, okay, well, this is just not the right thing right now. I need to park it. And I think what's really interesting is when I did that, it's just interesting to me, like, what showed up for me in my business in terms of like the types of clients or like revenue share and just different things. And so it was even interesting seeing like how my attention being like in that different place affected things. So I don't know if that's helpful to hear. I'm trying to be as transparent as I possibly can. So also just to normalize that all of us have these thoughts from time to time, but just I think how valuable it can be to catch them. On the flip side, one of my first clients who scaled to $1 million, who sold their business, when I take a look at what allowed her to do that, so much of what our work was around staying in her lane, really like putting the shiny object syndrome and the woman in the red dress to the side, really checking where she was doing things out of ego and really staying in, how do I show up for the things I want to do, that I love, that are in alignment for me, right? That and I mean, we're talking about within a year, she went from 10K months to 76K, 110K months, and then that first $1 million a year, which is a pretty, I mean, that's what, a 10 times scaling, like increase, whatever the number is there. And I think that's really a big reason for it she had lots of ideas. Like, I really think if she had gone down the rabbit hole of some of the other ideas she had, or some of the things she saw people in her space doing that she thought she was supposed to do, that she thought would be the easier way to make more money. Because I remember, because I've talked about this, I have it in an email, her thanking me, because she said, I remember thinking, like almost laughing when you looked at me and said how like you thought this could be $1 million business, and like almost laughing and thinking how impossible that was, like never in a million years that I think that could be true. She was basically thanking me for believing in her, like being willing to see that and hold that vision for her before she could see and believe that to be true. And so I know she didn't think, I know when we started our work, she didn't think that that was possible. But so much of our work was then not seeing, like, if I want to reach this goal, how do I do all the things I'm supposed to and the things I don't really want to? And how do I stay in my lane? And then understanding while staying in her lane that there were lots of things that didn't necessarily feel good in the moment, or that, you know, trade-offs she had to make, or the things that felt hard in the moment, or the things like on a micro she didn't want to do because on a macro she liked her path and what she was doing. And again, I think that's just where this gets so nuanced and where we want to be mindful. But I really think, I mean, look, there are other factors, but I really think that's one of the biggest reasons she was able to scale, because that allowed her to stay so focused. That allowed her to get known for one thing. That allowed for her to do less better. That allowed for her results to compound. I think if she'd been chasing other things, and especially chasing other things not because that was something she really wanted to pour herself into and master, right? Again, you can have more than one offer as you're scaling. Most people do. But from the mindset of, because someone else is doing this and I'm supposed to, or because this is the only way I'm going to make more money, or I'm just chasing this because I need to make more money to like basically prove, right? That proving energy. That's the big difference maker. And I think that's a really big ingredient for what helped her to scale. Actually, I'll give another client example of a client who scaled to $1 million, who did have lots of offers, right? She's someone who has quite a robust offer suite. But I think the big difference there, because I just don't want this to make this sound like you can only have one offer, or like it only needs to be one-on-one or anything like that. I think one of the big things with her, and that I think was that we didn't have to do a lot of coaching around, because I think she was quite aware of this, is she was just really clear on the work she wanted to do and what she didn't want to do. So we could just focus on putting the strategy around that. But every offer she created because that was where her heart was at. Like, that's the thing she wanted to show up for. That's the thing that was in alignment to her work and her message. I'm gonna give one more example. A past client of mine who has a multi-million-dollar business, and I would say probably if you were to talk to her, the business is great, it's profitable, it's making great money. I would say one of the biggest hurdles and one of the biggest conversations we had is exactly what we're talking about here. Alignment, like wanting to keep showing up for certain aspects of the business, choosing certain things or feeling the need to choose and create certain things to keep up because she's supposed to, all of that, as opposed to what she actually wants to show up for. And again, I just want to be so mindful with confidentiality. But I think it's, again, just so helpful to see these examples and see, like, this really is the conversation. It is the difference maker, to see, like, here's what's leading to those really big results. And then also when we're talking about, like, sometimes when a launch isn't working, when you're having a really hard time on sales calls, when you're doing all the things right and your content isn't converting, all of these pieces. Look, of course, there are sometimes it's like, it's a mindset thing, like what's going on with you in terms of your confidence around your offer. Of course, sometimes it's a strategic thing in terms of positioning and marketing and like brand building and all of those pieces, like absolutely. And sometimes, especially when you've had success before, we just want to come back to, like, are you doing this because you think you're supposed to? Like, is this coming from ego? Is this like a shiny object because you're trying to avoid something in your business? Or are you doing this because you love it so much, you want to show up for it so much, and like love it in a healthy way? Like, none of us should have our business be our 24/7 thing, but love it so much in that, like, this is the thing you want to show up for the next 5-10 years, that you're willing to stay in that process even when you're not getting results. I think that is always such a helpful telltale sign, right? The easiest way to make money sometimes is also when something is hard and we're not making money. If we like it enough, we're willing to stay in the game until we figure it out. I've been so transparent in my business that I did not make my first 6 figures until year 3, and my first 10K month came at 2.5 months. So my first like 5 to 8K months, I think, were around year 2. So my first year or two, like, I wasn't making a ton of money. I was making, I had clients and clients were getting results, but not making a ton. But I knew this business could go to this level and will continue to grow. And I knew this is what I wanted to do enough that even when I wasn't making a ton of money or having a hard time booking clients or, having a hard time getting visible, whatever the thing is, all of those hurdles were so worth it and so worth working through and me staying in the game because I liked the process of my business and because I liked the model and because I liked the work enough. If I hadn't, there's no effing way I would have stuck it out long enough to get to the results we have now. Like, and I don't, like, yes, I would have had some client results, but that wouldn't have been the case. Because every business, right, like all of us have different learning curves, personal growth edges, business growth edges, right? It is just really hard to be willing to stay in the game long enough to work through those to get the big juicy results if we don't like what we're doing enough, if it's not enough in alignment. Because again, that's when every time we hit that first hurdle or ceiling, we're just going to bounce and pick something else. So, okay. I feel like I'm on a soapbox today, and y'all are very quiet. So if you do have a question, now we're on the replay, let me know. Just seeing here if there was anything else I wanted to really say on this. I feel like I hit on the main pieces. I guess the last part, I sort of touched on this, but the last part is in terms of sustainability, just in terms of scaling and sustainability, and paying yourself well, profitability. I mean, I guess we talked about this, but what I have just found, and I don't love the term easy money, but truly, when you base your business around alignment and around what you actually want to do and are excited to show up for, even if you want to sell your business, right? It's going to be so much easier to create a business that you are able to sell if you come from this place. If you're not coming from this place, it's hard to get a business to the place where you can sell it. If I'm thinking of my client who sold her business, right, she had to come from this place first. So I'm thinking about my other client who's thinking about selling one of her business. Like, that business was built with this fuel. If you're just building a business to make some quick money and get out, it's tough to be in it long enough to get the business to a healthy enough place that it is viable for someone else to buy, unless, and this is actually maybe a really good caveat, unless the thing you love so much is the game of business and figuring out businesses and building businesses, right? Like, that's almost like then that becomes its own thing, right? Like, there are people who just love building business. I mean, I love the process of building businesses. I have to be, so I'm a great coach for business. I have to be mindful that every idea of mine, I don't want to turn into a business because I just like the process of that. And so if that's the case, I think seeing like that can still be the alignment and like what gives you joy to show up for it. But we have to have one of those, like that ingredient. Otherwise, it's really tough to get something to a place that's not just making money here or there, but that's profitable enough and sustainable enough that someone would want to even buy it. But that is not where I was going. I had the last piece. Oh, easy money. What I would just say is I don't love the term easy money, but if you're looking for like easy money, when you pick the path of alignment as opposed to like what you're supposed to do or what other people are telling you can do or whatever that case is, or like what you think is going to be the quick and easy money, when you pick what's in alignment for you, when you pick what you actually want to do, when you pick what you love enough that you want to show up for it, even in the hard times or for the challenges. I mean, look, this is kind of like a marriage, right? Not that we're married to our business, but if you want a relationship and a marriage that's healthy and fulfilling and sexy and loving and stands the test of time, right? Where you have that true partnership, you don't just want to pick the person you want to have a one-night stand with, right? You want to pick the person that, yes, it's great when things are great, but even when there's a hurdle, even when there's a challenge, when life is, lifing, that you want to be ride or die with them, that you want to work through that hurdle together, that you want to grow and heal together, right? Like that's what creates a great relationship. Like that's how, I mean, I think of my marriage, like we've been together 11 years in November. Like that's what makes that special. It's the same for business. My marriage feels super easy. My business feels super easy, but it's not because I'm a unicorn or I have some special things. It's because I'm picking what's in alignment. It's because I'm picking what I enjoy the process of. It's because I'm picking the offer and the model I really want to show up for. And then again, because of that, that also means I'm not subconsciously blocking anything. I'm not making things harder on myself than I need to be. It's easier to ride the waves or to show up for the challenges because I know it's on the other side it is worth enough. Like I know it's on the other side of that challenge is something I want. It's hard to show up for challenges and to work through those in business when what's on the other side is something we don't even really want all that much. Unless it's just money, like especially when there's easier other ways to make money. So it just makes all of that so much easier. And again, I think when we're showing up from that place, then just think of how different that is on the client experience side. I know because I shared this on an Instagram story the other day. I know my coach has a one-on-one model. She loves coaching. I feel like she wants to be on sessions with me, so I use my sessions. I feel fully supported. I feel seen, right? I feel like I get so much value out of that because she wants to be there. I have renewed for over 6 years, partially because of that. Think of what easy money that is for her. I think I'm a pretty easy client. I think I'm a good client. We have a great relationship. I love her. I trust, the process. I've been paying her quite a bit of money for over 6 years. That all, like, yes, there's lots of things. She has to be good at what she does and all those factors, but a lot of that comes from her picking something that she actually wants to do and actually wants to show up for. Like, it's such a different experience on the client side. If I was working with someone who's like, I hope this person doesn't really use sessions, or who's like just clocking in and clocking out, or just doing this to like make their huge paycheck, I would feel it. And I might invest once, but I definitely would not invest for over 6 years, planning on for the next 10 years, right? And that's the difference between making 10K or 20K once and whatever that is times 20 years, right? Like, think of like that lifetime customer value. So I think about the same with my clients. It just has, anyway. I'm going to wrap this up because we're almost at an hour here, and I do have a client call. So clearly I had a lot to say about this, even though I think it's a relatively simple term. I do think it's quite nuanced. If you have any questions pop up around this, if there's anything you want to reflect, please feel free to drop that in the comments. Again, I am hosting a free masterclass next month. It is new. I mean, it's a rendition, it's an update of a past masterclass, but I've got quite a bit of new material in there where I'm going to walk you through my simplified scaling blueprint. I'm going to give you the different components and how I think about them in terms of really what you need to scale smarter, not harder. So you're not just making more top line revenue, but also really focusing on profitability and being able to pay yourself more. I'd love to have you join me. If you sign up, you will get that bonus playbook, and which is great for self-coaching and personalizing this to you, and enter to win a VIP strategic planning session with me. If you're hearing all of this and you're like, I would love your support, Kim, because I need to find a business and a model and an offer that's in alignment. I am ready to scale. I am ready to double or triple my revenue this year. I'm really craving that one-on-one personalized support that can like help me with all of these nuances and get clear on, am I chasing shiny objects, or is this a hurdle I need to move through? Like, all of these different nuanced pieces, and you're wanting to create those kind of results in your business. I have very limited one-on-one spots opening up before I'm back on a wait list. For both my strategy intensive and my 6-month coaching partnership. So I will drop a free coaching consultation link below. I do require a free coaching consultation at this stage to make sure that we are the right fit to work together. And I will always, of course, lovingly let you know if we're not the right fit for any reason. All right, I love you all so much. I will be back next week. Please come join me for the masterclass. I'm really looking forward to that one. All right, lots of love. Bye.